I know another issue that we're having in the state of Colorado is, there's only certain sexes that you can take of a bear. And specifically a sow if it has cubs or something like that, which you're not always going to see because they kind of stash them and stuff like that. So I feel like you're a lot more effective if you were using dogs or bait, something where you can get closer, because a lot of these shots are going to be, especially if you're hunting with a rifle, are from really far away. So how are you determining sex and for that sort of thing?
Very tough for bear and for mountain lion. But you bring up a good point. So for listeners who maybe aren't hunters, do you have a lot of listeners that aren't hunters?
Yeah, they kind of cross. I mean, we have listeners from all over the world, surprising.
Yeah, okay.
But
so a lot of people, they'll look at, why would you use hounds? Why would you use dogs to hunt? It's unsporting. That's not fair or whatever. Well, there's a lot of different angles on that you can take. One, I would say, go on a pursuit hunt, no kill. Go on a pursuit hunt and see exactly how hard it is, for one. How physically strenuous it is and how many miles you might cover, multiple tens of miles you might cover. But to your point about sexes, using dogs or using bait is the only way. It's catch and release hunting. So you tree a lion.
Yeah.
You can see the age of the lion. You can see the sex of a lion. You can see if it's nursing. Same with bear, right? Mm-hmm. And most lion hunts don't end in a kill. Most of them, because they're not finding the right one, right? So
correct.
Outside of that, how else can you do that? And with bait, in the states where you can bait, it's the case for deer or whatever, but you get a really good look at what's coming in. I also think you get a better shot.
It's a more ethical shot for sure.
Yeah.
If you're any time that you close the distance on anything that you're shooting at, you're going to have a more ethical means of take. It doesn't always work out that way, right? It also depends on how good of an archer you are, or how good of a marksman you are with a rifle. But that is the most humane, even though that looks like the most unhumane thing in a non-hunter's eyes. Like, oh my God, you're chasing this thing down with dogs, and then you know.
Yeah.
It's probably the most humane, because how many times have guys shot at a super long distance and wounded an animal and then not found it? Or,
It certainly happens.
Yeah.
It happens less if you are in close quarters and have sort of a controlled scenario in a sense, right? So that doesn't, speaking of being humane, these animals are all going to die one way or the other within 10 years. That's their lifespan. Bear certainly live longer, but it's not a long lifespan, and nature's going to kill them. Other animals are going to kill them. Disease is going to kill them. So, and usually those deaths are pretty brutal. If you're looking at it from that angle, the bullets or arrows we deliver, they're pretty effective. I mean, I have shot a white-tailed deer where the deer didn't even know it continued eating. I thought I missed. And I was like 11 yards. I was in a tree stand in Ohio. Mm-hmm. I thought I missed. I'm pretty sure I saw my arrow go through the deer. It jumped and it ran 15 yards and it just kind of stood there and it kept eating. I'm like, what is going on? And then it just walked off with its tail wagging, right? And then I just couldn't see it. It was 30 yards. I couldn't see it anymore. I got down out of my tree stand. I find my arrow. There's blood all over it, and I'm like, what? What just happened? Yeah. I think I was pretty young when that happened. I was maybe 18 or something. So and it just blew my mind. And I went over and the deer was just laying there, like it just walked away and fell over. It didn't even know it was hit. An arrow went completely through it.